there, welcome to Out of Turn Gaming. Thank you so much for checking out this video and this channel. My name is Justin. You will be seeing a whole lot of me on this channel. Obviously, you've noticed this is going to be a countdown, my top 50 board games of all time as of January 2021. Before I jump into that, I just want to give you a little bit of information about myself. I have been a fan of board games my entire life, like many of you watching, I'm sure. Just a few years ago, about 3 years ago, I re-entered gaming on a more serious level. And obviously, I watch a lot of content on YouTube. And like so many people out there, I thought, hey, maybe I should try that too. So it is January 2021. This seemed like the perfect time to try something new. I will be posting a video once a month or so, recapping all the games I've played in the previous month. I'll share my thoughts on them, including what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them. Maybe I'll recommend what kind of people the game might be good for, all that kind of stuff. Every now and then I might bring on a guest or two. I play a lot of games with my daughter and my girlfriend, so it might be fun to see their perspectives as well. But before I start this monthly video series, I did think it would be a good idea to set the table by letting you guys know what my top 50 board games of all time are. That will give you a little idea of what my tastes are, maybe help you determine whether you think it's worth it to watch these videos, watch my future videos, and chat games together. So let's get started with video one here, which is going to be numbers 50 through 41. Game number 50 is called Manhattan. In Manhattan, you and all of your players are going to be around a board, and the board is divided into several different neighborhoods, and you'll be playing cards to basically add little stories onto 3D skyscrapers on the board. You're building skyscrapers in each neighborhood, and at the end of a round, whoever has the highest story, the highest floor on each skyscraper controls it, and then you will score points by who has the most skyscrapers in a neighborhood, who has the tallest skyscraper, so on and so forth. I like this area control game because depending on where you're sitting at the table, the cards that you play to build up skyscrapers kind of have different perspective. So if I'm sitting here and I have a card that's the bottom right, I can place on the skyscraper on the bottom right to me. But, if someone's sitting over here, the bottom right is a completely different skyscraper. So it's kind of neat the way the cards reconfigure the buildings. It's simple, but very neat. Great family game. That is Manhattan.
Number 49 is a game called Dragonheart. This is a two-player only card game, and this is a game where a board is set out and the board is covered in characters. And all of these characters basically, well, let's see, there's an archer, a dragon, and so on and so forth, very fantasy-based. And these characters have conditions that allow you to play cards onto them. And basically, once all of the conditions of a character are met, that the player who put the final card down gets to take those cards and take some points. And so this is a nice little tug of war, so to speak, because you're playing cards on characters because you want to set them up to be able to cash in on them on your next turn. You're hoping that your opponent doesn't cash in on them first. It's very fun. It's quick. It's a nice little two-player game. It's my first of many on this list of top 50 games of all time. That is called Dragonheart. Number 48 is The Mind. The Mind is one of the first games I started showing to friends and family to show them what games were outside of their perception of them. So The Mind is a game where up to 4 players are going to have a hand of cards that have numbers anywhere between 1 and 100. And the idea is that everyone is going to collectively play their cards down on the table in increasing numerical order. So from the lowest card all the way to the highest card. Sounds easy, but there is a huge twist, which is that there is absolutely no communication allowed. No talking, no gesturing, no pregnant pauses. The idea is Everyone playing together has to sync up mentally and put these cards down in order. You have lives in the game, and you lose a life every time the wrong or a card is placed down in the wrong order, and you just keep playing level after level. Each level, all the players have a higher number of cards in their hand, and you're just trying to make it all the way to the end. We've never beaten it, but that's never stopped us from having a good time. That is the Mind. Number 47 is a game called Deadline. Now, this is one of many games on this list that is sort of a mystery or puzzle solving genre. Deadline is done in this sort of noir slash pulpy vibe. And the way it works is each time you play a game, there's going to be a case for you to solve. And there are locations, characters to talk to, clues to gain access to, and piece together what happened. And the way that you get access to all of these things is little card challenges. Everybody playing has a hand of cards, and at the bottom of their cards it will be a set of symbols. And basically, to gain access to a location or character, you guys are going to have to collectively play that sequence of symbols. So I may play a card with a shot glass and a hat and a cigarette. And the next player can play a card down that overlaps those symbols in any way. So perhaps they've got a card that does a hat and then a cigarette and then a question mark, for example. And we're just overlaying the cards, trying to get the exact sequence that unlocks the location and gets us access to more information to solve the mystery. Pretty fun, nice cooperative game. That is Deadline. Number 46 is the first party game on this list. It is called Schmovie. Schmovie is a lot of fun if you are a fan of stuff, creative type games. This is a good one. Basically, in Schmovie, you've got two decks of cards. One is going to be an adjective, and then the other one's going to be a noun. Maybe like an alcoholic surfer. And then you're going to roll a die that gives you a movie genre, and everyone's got to come up with a name for this movie. Maybe we've got a horror film about an alcoholic surfer. So everyone's going to come up with the title. Everyone's going to laugh at these silly or terrible names, and then the judge is going to pick a favorite title. You know, very classic party game format, but we've had a ton of fun with this one. And it's one that's a little more under the radar. It's called Schmovie. Number 45 is a pretty new game called The Alpha. The Alpha is a game in which each player represents a wolf pack. And you are basically all going out and hunting for animals. So there are several animals out on the board, and each player has a little set of wolf meeples. And on your turn, you're basically going to send one of your wolves out to one of these animals and just keep going around the table until everyone's placed out their wolf meeples. At that point, it becomes area control for each animal. Whoever has the most presence there with their wolves is going to roll the die for a chance to collect some meat from the animals. And of course, that turns into points in the game. If there's ever a tie for an animal, then at that point you get to do a little prisoner's dilemma. You and the person who you're tied with have the opportunity to privately vote whether to share the food or to fight for the food. And if you both agree to share, you split it 50-50. If one of you chooses fight and the other one chooses share, then the person who chose fight gets to keep the food. If you both choose to fight, neither of you get the food, and your wolves get injured, and you lose a wolf for a couple of rounds of the game. This is a really fun family game. It's a nice tongue-in-cheek way for kids, my daughter, for example, and parents or just family and friends to get a little aggressive with each other without it, without the stakes being too high. It's a lot of fun, and it's a pretty game too. It has a nice table presence. That's The Alpha. Number 44 on my list is In Between. This is a two-player game, very heavily inspired by the TV series Stranger Things. So in this game, one person represents the normal world, and the other player represents the parallel dimension. And basically, the players are going to have a tug of war over this town, and you guys are competing to pull the town and its members into your dimension. So there's a circle out on the table of different characters, and you'll be playing cards and various effects to pull characters into deeper into your dimension. There are also some weapons and special items in the game. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy tug of war games. We'll see a few more of those on this list as well. But um, it's thinky, but not too thinky, and that's what I like about it. This is a game I played with my girlfriend. We like two-player only games, and this was one of the ones we enjoyed more than average, and that is In Between. Number 43 is another party game called Huh. So the way Huh works is you're going to have a movie title, a book title, a historical figure, fictional character, something along those lines that you are describing for all the other players. Now, the way scoring works is the fewer people that figure out what you're talking about, the more points you get. But you want at least one person to guess, because if nobody guesses it, nobody gets any points. So maybe I've got the movie Titanic. And this is an example straight from the box. I've got the movie Titanic, and I say this is a movie that takes place near water, and it gets really cold at the end. There's a little bit of dancing, a little bit of sketching, a little bit of jewelry. You know, the more you reveal, the more people are going to understand what you're talking about. So you want to get the fewest number of people to guess it while, without striking out, basically. A lot of fun. I recommend this game for good friends or people who know each other really well. Otherwise, it's too esoteric. I've certainly played this game where I could say one word and my best friend immediately knows what I'm talking about, and the other 6 people that we're playing with are completely lost. Now, while that's great for me and my best friend, it's not a very fun gaming experience for everyone else. So make sure everyone's on equal footing with how well you know each other. That was number 43, Huh. Number 42 is Carcassonne Amazonas. So Carcassonne obviously is a modern gaming classic, a modern classic, sure, where people are taking turns putting tiles out and forming this French landscape, cities, streets, whatnot. Well, Carcassonne Amazonas is one of the spin-offs where you are actually exploring the Amazon, the jungles off the Amazon River, and you are scoring points by spotting animals, by finding little civilizations, villages, and you're also trying to score points by pushing your boat down the actual river. So you are playing tiles to explore the jungle around the river and to further push yourself down the river itself. It's Carcassonne, but with a little more meat on the bones. My friends and I like this one, as much as Carcassonne. It's just a little bit of a different experience for when you want a little more of a twist. Carcassonne Amazonas. And the final game in this video, number 41, Walk the Plank. Walk the Plank is the first of a handful of programming games that will be on this list. So Walk the Plank is a very silly programming game. Basically, you've got a handful of little meeples that represent the crew of a pirate ship. Each player has a handful of meeples, and then there are several extensions of the plank. And basically, you are pre-choosing 3 actions for each round. You've got a set of cards, and you're going to do action 1, action 2, action 3, put them down, so no one can see what they are. And then you go around the table, and everyone does their action 1. And then after that, everyone does action 2, and then action 3. And these actions could mean pushing other players forward or backwards, you running toward the ship, or maybe shortening or extending the plank, all sorts of craziness. So by the end of each round, none of your best laid plans came to pass. It's a little chaotic, but in the most fun way. We really like these kinds of silly programming games where it's more about just seeing what kind of craziness unfolds. That was number 41, Walk the Plank. Oh, and it's actually a quite small, very portable game. So I recommend it for gaming on the go as well.
All right, folks, that is 50 through 41. I will see you back here on the next video. We'll cover 40 through 31. This is a 5-part series. And after that, I'll be posting my monthly videos where I review my gaming activity of the previous month. What do you guys think of the games that we talked about in this video? Are there any that have really brought you joy, or are there any you hadn't heard of that maybe sounded interesting? I'd love you to shout us out in the comments. Let us know what you thought of the video, and we will see you next time. I'm Justin. This is Out of Turn Gaming. See ya.